Shot, he scores! And the Ballers win! Helena is no longer undefeated!
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Barons win! Barons win!
Cody Jansen stopped 92 out of 95 shots, including a penalty shot in overtime. Somehow he still only wound up the third star of the game.
You like that?
Jansen has a heart.
You're smoking crack!
Happy New Year's Eve. It's Cody Jansen coming to you live on World Hockey Report, presented by Lordco Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of Hockey Canada and Team Canada. You got to make Lordco your go-to auto parts store since 1974. They've been a trusted supplier of quality aftermarket auto parts and accessories. If you're a shop owner, automotive professional, or do-it-yourselfer, it's the place to go for fast and knowledgeable service. Check out its new location on Calgary Trail Northwest in Edmonton. And don't forget to stroll through its in-store truck centers for the latest truck accessories and high-performance parts. Doors are open 7 days a week. View store hours and services at lordco.com. Wow, we got a lot to get through. World Juniors canceled. The Oilers and Devils are in a shootout right now. And who better to start it off than the man himself in Saskatchewan? It's Adam Ermintrout joining us. So let's snap it over to him. First off, give us a spoiler on the Oilers game. I think it was 3-2 in the first intermission. Your assessment of the first period.
Yeah, I think a little too much run and gun. It's just they're trying to play these 5-4, 6-4 games right now, and as we've seen in the past, it just doesn't work like that.
And Mike Smith has been bad. I just saw the one goal.
He's been okay. The first one's a power play. The second one's a weird kind of scramble and runs, and I didn't end up seeing the third one, but it's just like if you're Tippett, you got a guy who's out for 26 games and he's a huge part of your team. I just don't understand why you have to start him in 2 straight games when you're traveling from St. Louis to Jersey.
Do you think they're a little concerned that their game tomorrow against the Isles might have got canceled? That's why they were kind of like, instead of an extended break for Smith, let's just get him in now?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe give Koskinen the shot against his old team. I guess it's his old team from 15 years ago, but
no, that's like the only reason I can really think of. Kyle Turris comes out of the lineup. The McLeod brothers played each other. There's some cool storylines for sure. I seen the picture. I don't know if you did. It's the McLeod parents. They're each wearing one jersey and then different hats. It's like the dad's got on a New Jersey jersey, and then he's got an Oilers hat on, and then the mom has an Oilers jersey and a Devils hat on. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw that. I like I think I've seen in the NFL where they somehow get the jerseys in half or whatever, and he wear like a 7 and a 0 or whatever, like a Oilers 7 and a Devils 0 or whatever, and cut the jerseys in half.
Yeah, that's also pretty creative. Okay, Erm's got a beer league game, so we can't keep him for too long here. Join the conversation right now on 12 Ounce Sports, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You got a question? Let us know now. Erm, World Juniors got canceled. I can just set you up on a tee here. I want to know what your initial thoughts were now that you've processed it for a day. What you're thinking? Just go off.
Yeah, really disappointed, obviously. I guess, sure, you can see why they can't, but the cases and whatnot, obviously asymptomatic, but the cases are the cases. I think it's just completely on the IIHF. How do you have these guys bubbled, but in the same bubbled hotel, there's a wedding reception going on that same night? There's too much foot traffic clearly going in and out. The players, obviously, I'm sure they're doing their best, but, just like anyone, are they wearing their masks all the time? Who knows? You're in that team setting, and I'm sure you're doing everything you can, but, for the IIHF to go to somehow pull off a bubble last year with no fans, and then this year the players are supposed to be in kind of that same bubble format, and yet they can't do it just because, the people who are serving the breakfast this year, the people who are in and around the rink and the hotel and stuff. And, for it to come to this point, I think is is really disappointing. I mean, all the planning and stuff, and yeah, it's just kind of a joke, I guess, how the IIHF handled it. And I think the planning was obviously the main thing here.
So with that press conference, I don't know how much you watched. There wasn't much of an apology, which in my mind, that's what pisses me off the most, is that you see some of these messages the players are and posts the players are putting out. They're crushed. This is their dream. For a lot of them, even if this tournament happens in the summer, they're still not going to be able to play. They're not going to want to play. Like, why would Owen Power play in a July World Juniors when he's going to be playing in the NHL in 2 months, risking millions of dollars in contracts? A Cole Perfetti, same thing for those guys. Like, I get it. It's different for Austria when, their winter league, it's whatever, they can play there anytime. But were you a little shocked that the IIHF didn't really step up and honestly grow a pair and just say, sorry, hey, we messed up. We take the blame. We did this terribly.
No, I mean, I think that's kind of their half-in approach, right? They were kind of half-in for these World Juniors where they're like, okay, we'll get it off. We'll half bubble the guys. We'll half do this, half do that. We'll half bubble the refs who test positive. And I mean, no, I'm not surprised they didn't apologize. I mean, they're still trying to make it seem like they're going to do something, but like you said, and we're in college bowl season right now. How many guys are opting out because they're like, I don't need to play, right? Like I've got millions of dollars on the line. And there's a good example. Jalen Smith, he was a top pick by the Cowboys a couple of years ago and played in a bowl game, blew up his knee completely and cost himself probably $50 million by playing in a meaningless bowl game. So the same thing, yeah. World Juniors, July, what are they going to do? Go to Texas and wear their shorts to games? That's a summer showcase. I mean, and the U18s work because those guys have something to play for. They're playing to get drafted and playing for draft position and stuff like that. This is like, okay, we could win a gold medal, I guess, but what's the point?
Totally different cases for sure. I've heard that. And, there's also a part of me too, and we've both were on the same page that it was stupid that they canceled the under 18 women's and not just postpone it. But I also, I understand a little bit more of the technicalities of why they cancel versus postpone. Because if they don't cancel it, then the same country still has to host it. So I get there's technicalities there, but it kind of pisses me off as well to see the people are like, oh, this is karma for the not letting the women play. That's the two extreme sides of Twitter, Adam, that just get me going.
Yeah, I mean, it's two completely different reasons. I guess that was for, I don't know what you want to call it, money or power, whatever. And this was strictly because of positive cases. This wasn't because they canceled the women's. This wasn't because anything else other than guys were testing positive. And I mean, that's that.
So do you think that they're going to try hold the tournament again, I guess?
I'm sure here's what's going to happen. I think they'll do their due diligence and say, yeah, we're looking at options. And by the time they actually figure out what their options are, I think it'll be too late. I think they'll do the kind of the late talk, I guess, and just kind of say, yeah, we're doing this, and then it's not going to happen.
Trevor says the blame lies with OEG. And I think it was Trevor also commenting that OEG was the one who booked the hotels, where I think you might want to check a little bit more facts before you start throwing that around. I don't think OEG is the ones to be blaming here. This is a tournament put on by the IIHF and, Hockey Canada. So, yeah, maybe we don't just dump on OEG without knowing all the facts, Trevor. But, Adam, I also want to get your thoughts on the tournament as a whole right now. Is this, is there someone in particular who you think is going to hurt most by this tournament? Is it Shane Wright? Is it, Sebastian Cossa, who never got to play? Is it a Brad Lambert, who's maybe his stocks could have rose if he had a solid tournament? Is there a player or players who you're really thinking you're like, damn, this really sucks for them more than anyone?
Yeah, probably Brad Lambert's definitely the biggest one, just because, he had a bad U18s going back to Plano, Texas in the summer, and then the season with JYP in the Finnish league has not gone well either. So I think a lot of people looked at this as a chance for him to up his draft stock, because last I checked, he's down to 15, where last year he's supposed to challenge Shane Wright for first overall. And sure enough, in 2 games this year, he had 5 points, and he was really looking like, okay, is this guy back? Is he a top 5 pick? Is he a top 3 pick? And, him and Kamel, I think off the Finnish team definitely had a chance to stay. And you look at a guy like Jarash Slafkovsky off Slovakia too, where people started throwing out Rantanen during the tournament. And I mean, I think a lot of people take Mikko Rantanen in the top 5 of any draft. So just, yeah, more so the European guys. I mean, it's tough for them specifically just because they're buried on a team of 35-year-olds and 30-year-olds in the Europe League. So for them to come here and play against their peer, I think could have done them well. So I'd say those guys are most hurt.
Okay, so quickly, I just want you to throw out 3 names here. Goalie of the tournament, best defenseman, and top forward. I know we didn't get fair looks at everyone, but just give me 3 names for those.
Goalie, probably Wallstedt. I mean, the only memorable goalie moment was his 48 save shutout for Slovakia. So Jesper Wallstedt. Top defenseman, I'll go Owen Power, and not just because of the hat trick, but more so just because he was awesome in the just all around. He was great. And forward, I mean, do you give it to Bedard? I mean, he had 4 goals. It's pretty sweet for a 16-year-old. It was versus Austria, but yeah, we can go with Connor Bedard, sure.
I don't mind.
Maybe
that.
Brad Lambert too. Yeah.
Yeah, Lambert probably not so much. I feel like that Mishkov has to be in the conversation. He's kind of got that nose for the net, which I like about him, but he's got to cut the diving shit out. Like that's Russian 101. Is like, I mean, he's laying on the ice 3 times against Sweden. You know, that's just, I hate watching that. That's 101 Russian hockey right there. Okay, last thing I want from you is thoughts on Shane Wright. Because, I mean, we got into it over Twitter with a lot of people who love Shane Wright. But again, he did 0 in this tournament to impress me. And that includes a game against Austria, who sucks. Austria is not a good hockey team. They would not be a good OHL team. And he did squat out there, to be frank.
Yeah, I mean, definitely underwhelming. They ended up moving him to the wing, I guess, for that last game. So you're not moving a guy because he's playing too well, right? So there's that. Pretty underwhelming. I mean, I think what scouts are saying right now is he's going to play 15 years in the NHL, no doubt. It's just doesn't have the highest ceiling, right? Where it's, okay, he can be a second or third line center in the NHL and do really good things, but at first overall, I don't think you want to take that, right? So I think for him, there's not much of a wow factor where with Lambert, there's, he's bigger, he's more skilled, he's more powerful. I think there's that. And I mean, we had people saying, oh, look at Shane Wright on Kingston. Shane Wright's like the 5th leading scorer on Kingston. I don't know what we're supposed to look at there. So yeah, I mean, pretty underwhelming. Had nothing to lose, had nothing to gain really from doing this. He's ranked #1 everywhere you look. So yeah, will he go 1? Sure, but it's like, okay, like where I don't think that's the pick that you want. I think you'd rather a different year, and I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. But yeah, pretty underwhelming. Not much of a wow factor. It's obviously a 17-year-old in this tournament, but nothing to be wowed about, I'd say.
Is his comparable Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in the NHL right now? Because I remember watching RNH when he was playing in the Western League, and they are very similar players. And even when I think about the development of Shane Wright, RNH isn't a bad hockey player, but he's also a first overall pick who is a second line player who can play on the third line and he can play on the top line, but he's not going to stand out. He's going to make $50 million. He's going to make a shit ton of money. But again, I'm thinking of a first rounder who you definitely don't need to call a generational talent.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd also go Sean Monahan, right? Where it's like, does everything well, can play both ways, second line center, will score 30 goals probably, but that's it. That's their ceiling. So yeah, Nugent Hopkins, Monahan, that's probably the 2 I'd go.
Okay, fair enough. Are you gonna take up anthem singing or what? Every single game I hear you ripping the anthem singers. I haven't heard one of these bad ones yet. Like the videos don't exist, eh?
No, the St. Louis one, it wasn't like a butchering. They screwed up like maybe 3 words or whatever, where it's like, oh, okay, but the one today, the 15-year-old girl who like sounded nervous off the start and then got going a bit and then just like paused after one and then like 5 seconds later just like stopped. The crowd picked her up and then she started going again. But I don't know what's going on. People don't know the Canadian anthem, I guess.
Good on the crowd for picking her up though. That would be the worst if they didn't do anything about that. But also like it's. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do kids not learn the anthem anymore? I don't really remember ever learning like the American anthem, so it's gotta be a little bit weird. Also, you're kicking today. Why are you playing goal in a beer league game at a 1:30 in the afternoon?
Just a family skate. I mean, my auntie gets ice every year, and I guess my girlfriend's brother used to play some good
Those
hockey,
are
so
Pash's pads. They looked like ASU colors. I didn't want to say anything.
I'll tweet out the full setup. It's actually a pretty sweet setup. So I'll tweet out the full setup with me in the gear.
That's hilarious. Okay, well, I will let you go, Erm. Have fun. Have a happy new year. Appreciate you, and we'll connect down the road.
Beauty, yeah.
Adam Ermtrout right there from Saskatchewan. We caught him while he was in the dressing room. No, his audio was fine there. We caught him. He's going for a skate. He's actually going to play goalie, so that would be hilarious. I would pay money to watch that. But again, let us know your thoughts. We covered a lot of stuff there. We covered Oilers. We covered World Juniors. I want to know, who do you think the blame falls on when it comes to the failure that the World Juniors were this year? They didn't complete them. They didn't plan. They didn't organize good enough, clearly. So who should the blame fall on? Again, I'm not going to believe that it is OEG. I 100% don't believe that, because I don't think they're booking hotel rooms in Red Deer. Were they maybe helping set them up? Sure. But end of the day, IIHF Hockey Canada, they're the ones signing the checks for them. They're the one organizing this. They're the ones who clearly didn't care to put the players in a proper bubble, didn't care to have them separated, despite what we knew about. And don't say, 2 weeks ago we didn't know this much about Omicron. You could have changed that on the fly. They got there on the 15th. What's wrong with finding them extra accommodation after the fact? What's wrong with figuring out better accommodation after the fact? Adjusting on the fly. Whatever happened to that? Is just because you didn't have positive tests in the first couple of days, you're like, let's just try to power through it. Well, clearly they didn't do their due diligence. And that's where the fault lies. They failed the kids, they failed the players, they failed the fans. They failed the media members, everyone who, uses this. You think about the corporate sponsors who put so much time, effort, and energy into it. Like a Lordco, who goes out of their way to support Hockey Canada, the World Juniors. They put a lot of resources into this. They put a lot of time, energy, effort, care, and it doesn't happen because of, the planning. Let's be honest. Not that they, you got to keep supporting them. You got to keep powering through. You got to find a way to get it done next time. But it's disappointing on a lot of fronts. Our next guest on Morning Skate Cat, Jimmy Collins, he's going to hop on here in a couple of minutes. We'll talk World Juniors. We'll talk Rangers. We'll talk NHL. Everything you want. Join the conversation, of course, at 12 Ounce Sports, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you miss any of these conversations, though, you can download them on the Hockey Podcast Network. And, of course, if you're going to DraftKings, use promo code THPN. It's Cody Jansen coming to you live from Alberta, the beautiful Pro Rock Broadcast Studios. New Year's Eve edition. And we're going to be back after the break. Quick timeout on World Hockey Report.
Follow Team Canada with Sports Travel Tours in their bid to win back-to-back World Championships. Canada will play all their games in beautiful Helsinki, Finland, and will face Switzerland, Germany, and Russia. Sports Travel Tour packages includes a fantastic hotel, all transfers, amazing game tickets, a tour host, as well as a pre-game party. Check out the official World Championship packages at sportstraveltours.com.
Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any NFL team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets if they score. You can score with promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Let's go back.
All right, it's World Hockey Report, New Year's Eve edition. No World Juniors to talk about. Should be getting ready for Canada, Finland. Little disappointed to say the least. Instead, we got the Oilers, who laid an egg in the first period. They're down 3-2. It's World Hockey Report presented by Lordco Auto Parts. Visit Lordco's in-store truck centers at select locations today. Cody Jansen with you, coming to you live from the Pro Rock Broadcast Studios. Joined now by our favorite American. It's Jimmy Collins, Morning Skate Cad, better known as, and Jimmy's joining us from New York, I do believe. He was migrated down to Nashville for a bit, but he's hopping on the show first time in a while. Cad, what's going on, buddy?
I mean, favorite American just gave me chills, man. I mean, that's Miracle the Patriot type status, so I appreciate that. You're just hanging out, dude. I wish we were watching World Juniors. How awful is this?
Oh man, and we will dive into it. It's been very disappointing. But again, everyone go follow Morning Skate. They got great content out there. I know you just dropped another podcast. I was listening to this morning, actually. I woke up at like 6 o'clock, couldn't fall back asleep, so I always just chuck on a pod. But I think you recorded it before the cancellations, eh?
Yeah, we recorded it before. I think they had just canceled like the U.S. game. And made them forfeit. I think it was Switzerland.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But yeah, we were talking about it and kind of like what's going to go on. How bizarre is this, dude, that there's like youth hockey tournaments going around like all over the world. They can't even put together like World Junior. Like these guys are going to be in the NHL. They're going to make millions of dollars. All of my friends, we watch every single game if we can, right? We want to see if we can find any studs that people don't really know about, or your favorite team. Rangers had Berard, who was going to be playing on the first line, the Canadian goalie. I was just excited, and then all of a sudden they just canceled it because how do you not put these teams in their own hotel? It blows my mind.
That's the biggest thing. How's there a wedding going on at the same hotel that the Americans in Sweden's playing at? Like, that's just the absolute biggest joke possible. And then for them to talk about I think it was that Slovak goalie who went off and he was like, well, like the staff weren't even wearing masks when they're serving us food. Like everyone's roaming around the hotel lobby. Like we're trying to avoid them as much as possible, but like we can't. We're literally in a public venue. It's so disappointing. It's embarrassing.
It's insane. I saw somebody tweet out that it was like because they canceled World Junior, it's only fair to cancel that one. Gave me a little bit of a chuckle, but I mean, dude, it's insane. I guess, we were pretty lucky to see Bernard there for Canada just go off. I was interested to see what was going to happen to him. You didn't really get to see a lot of Shane Wright, but I mean, at the same time, we got a little bit of a taste, but you can't just tease me like that.
No, I know. And I think Bedard's going to be a stud. Shane Wright really didn't do a ton, though. That's kind of the thing where you can't say that on Twitter or you're going to get called the biggest idiot in the world. But, I think, honestly, right. I wasn't impressed by him. I expected more. Like, they're playing Austria. Austria ain't a good hockey team. I'll tell you that for free. And if Shane Wright's not standing out in that game, I don't know. I got a little bit of concern. I think there's right to be concerned there.
Yeah, and again, it's still super early in the tournament. Who knows? Maybe he was going to come on late. You need to kind of adjust to it, but I guess we'll never know. It's just absolutely ludicrous. Like it blows my mind that there's youth hockey tournaments going around all over the world. Like I'm in New York right now, so everybody's got to wear masks. But when we're in Tennessee, nobody wears masks. It's like it hasn't even happened. Same with like Florida. So it's just kind of it's bizarre to see how like some parts of the world are like kind of going through this, and then other parts are going through in a completely different way. And like I know that we want everybody safe and like we don't want COVID. Like I totally get that. But if that were the case, would you not do everything that you possibly could to like make sure that wouldn't happen? And at the end of the day, they did not do that at all. And it's brutal. And on top of that, you didn't even have the women's tournament either. And that made no sense. Like if you're going to do the guys tournament, why not do the women's tournament? It made no sense.
Yeah, I think Hockey Sweden kind of was the one that axed the women's tournament, whereas Hockey Canada was in charge of planning for, the men's one. But okay, so you brought up COVID and that, and so it's a fun discussion, obviously, in Canada where, Montreal, they're not allowed any fans. Winnipeg's not having fans. Toronto's down to 1,000. And then you've got Tennessee where the Music City Bowl's setting records. You're packing 70,000 maskless fans down in the States. You've got a more of an American friend group, obviously, that watches the World Juniors. When you see the crowds in Edmonton where it looks like they're being held hostage, there's 1,000 people in the barn. They're all masked up. You can't eat or drink. You can't move from your seat. Like, what are people saying down there?
It's crazy, man, because you see that, and like half of you thinks like, you know what, like I kind of get it. Like, COVID has killed a ton of people, whether you believe in it or not, whatever. But then you kind of look back and you look at like the old World Junior tournaments in Canada when they would pack that barn and Canada would score and like everybody would go absolutely crazy. And then you're kind of looking at it now and there's like 13 people there. It's like, well, that's kind of crappy. But I'm not smart enough to kind of get into the whole COVID thing. Whatever I say, whoever's listening to this, if I'm talking about COVID and I piss you off, I don't mean to. Again, I'm just an idiot. But the way I look at it, like I live in Tennessee, nobody wears masks. I'm up in New York, people have to wear masks now, and I totally get the mask thing. But again, if you're going to do a tournament and you're going to dial in and you want to show off these prospects, these guys that could make millions of dollars someday, could be the face of a franchise, and then you play 2 games, somebody gets COVID, and then you pull the plug. It's like, where was your contingency plan? Like this Omicron thing, everybody's catching it, right? So like there should have been some sort of backup plan. They didn't have a backup plan. They're like, oh, somebody got sick. Okay, we'll take him out. And then they were like surprised that like other people got sick. It was crazy.
Text line's blowing up right now. Join the conversation too if you want. 12 Ounce Sports Facebook, YouTube. That's how you get your comments on screen. Mike says, ask him about Team USA. Would they have won a medal this year? Kat, I guess. I mean,
yeah, baby. We bleed red, white, and blue. We would have won every medal that there was. I'm just kidding. I think they would have medaled for sure. They definitely had some top guys, but at the same time, like I'm kind of selfish. So I was just really looking at Berard. Like I want to see what he did. He kind of reminds me of like a very, very poor man's like Brad Marchand. Like when Marchand was in World Junior and stuff, like everybody, he was kind of a rat. He was flying all over the place. You didn't really see him have like a ton of skill. And if you look at Berard, flies all over the place. He's a pest. He's in your face all the time. He's a late round pick too. And for me, I was looking forward to that. And I was looking forward to checking out the Canadian goalie. There were only like certain people. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'm rooting for the red, white, and blue. And if you look at, over the last couple of years, it definitely like in the early 2000s, right? Canada, Russia. But now you're kind of seeing these USA guys kind of, all right, they're pretty decent. They've won some tournaments. Here we go. So definitely would have medaled. USA, Canada, I'm always going to pick USA, whether or not I actually think they're going to win. But I'm going to stick with gold there for sure.
Tyson says, how nasty is Cooley? And Logan Cooley, he was an 0-4 on the States. We would have got to see him play once or twice, I guess, with the pre-tournament too. But like, I think this kid's good, Tyson. I agree. I mean, Ked, you got a different thought? Like, what I saw from him is like, he's no slouch. He could probably go top 3 in the draft this year.
Yeah. Here's another thing. These guys are all so much better at hockey than I am. It's ridiculous. And they're like 10 years younger than me. So I'm just sitting there.
You gotta fake it till you make it.
I'm sitting there watching. That's what I'm saying. I'm sitting here watching these kids wheel around and like do all these like cool plays, like that Zegras, the Michigan goal that he had, and just like all these things that these guys do. And like, I'm in beer league and I'm still chipping pucks out off the glass. Like it doesn't take a lot to impress me. But yeah, I mean, it's just the speed and the way that, people attack the zone now. And it's not even attacking the zone. It's kind of like buying yourself a little bit of extra time and space. And it's fun hockey, man. And whenever you kind of put a tournament in where there's countries involved and like people are kind of serving more, not even a team, but just like, the country that they live for, that they grew up in, it makes it that much more. It makes those battles that much harder. Those 50-50 battles are just like, and these kids are so ultra competitive, man. Like to get to where they're at, they need to be. Otherwise they wouldn't be there. So it just sucks, dude. I wish that we were watching the tournament today. It's brutal. I have to kind of settle for the Rangers and Bolts tonight. We'll see what happens with that, but yeah.
At least you're playing against the Bolts 7th string Tendy.
I mean, that is good, but they just got pumped by the Panthers last night, so I'm sure they're looking to bounce back. They won a couple cups the last couple of years. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. So
yeah, I think I've heard of them once or twice.
See them rolling over.
Victor Hedman was a -6, so maybe it's a great game for Lafreniere to break out.
-6. That ain't good. That's beer league stats.
McDavid ties it up. It's 3-3 Oilers and Devils right now in the second period. Philip on Twitter says, go Regs, go. So he must be a morning skate fan because there's no way any of our World Hockey Report followers would ever say that. Ken, I guess I'll ask you about the Rangers then. I mean, they're 19-8-4 this season. That's pretty damn good. but some of their young guys have not impressed me. Is that a fair statement?
100%, dude. They have a great record. I love the team. I mean, I love the fact that it brought in Reeves and Barkley Goodrow, so they're not like the softest team in the NHL. I'm like,
Tom Wilson's
clearly
bullying
see that
25 guys.
yeah, no, but you can see that now. Like after the plays, people are sticking up for each other. It's like, okay, we're a hockey team now. We're not just like a bunch of dancers on the ice. But at the same time, I mean, I think Capo is going to be a hell of a hockey player. I think he's going to be a 200-foot guy. I don't know if he's going to put up a ton of points, but I think I'm good where Capo's at right now. You got to remember, these guys are still so young. Lafreniere, on the other hand, man, like, and I'm probably going to get a ton of hate for this. He hasn't done like anything sweet. I think the sweetest thing that he's done is he fought Pajot on the Islanders. Like that was like the only thing I was like, okay, I like that. And first overall pick, you'd think he'd be like doing stuff. He scored on a one-timer on a power play today, and I watched the clip, and I'm like, well, damn, that would be kind of cool if Lexi could do that. But it just doesn't happen. It's not there yet. I don't think he has the speed quite yet. And it took Capo a couple years to kind of adjust to that too. So, I mean, I'm by no means giving up on him, but it'd be crazy if you were to kind of take Capo and Lafreniere and then put like 50 to 60 points next to their name and really see how good this team could be. And I don't know, hopefully the next couple of years they put together. I feel like the Rangers, though, they have an elite winger in Panarin, elite defenseman in Fox, and elite goalie in Shesterkin. So I can't really be complaining. You know what I mean?
Well, Lafreniere's fourth on the team in goals right now with 6. It's kind of embarrassing for the Rangers. I don't know how you've won 19
Chris
games.
Kreider's got 100 goals this year.
Yeah, but he's that's a wild one. He's up for the Cy Young, I think. But he's also second worst in PIMS is Lafreniere. So, I mean, it's kind of a rough start. You can say that they're young. You can say this and that. But at the end of the day, I think you are a little disappointed. On the other hand, Adam Fox, I'll still put him on fraud watch because I love firing up Rangers fans. But holy, like this guy's got 31 points in 31 games. All this guy does is snap the puck around.
He just has like the best poise, I think, in the NHL.
It's second to Cale Makar, but it's up there.
I don't even know, man. He gets the puck in the corner, and it's like the littlest things ever. It's like not even like skill type stuff. It's just the fact that he knows how long he can wait with the puck to dish it. Or like, because somebody will go and hit him, and he'll just hold on to the puck, they'll miss him, and they'll just move the puck. He knows when to jump into the play. If Adam Fox were to ever kind of develop like some sort of like one-timer clap bomb from the point, it would be insane. At the same time, I'm very happy with what he has. He moves the puck. He kills penalties. He's small. He's not big, but you never see him get blown up ever. And I mean, that tells you a lot about a guy. Harvard's got a big brain. Ever heard of it? And I mean, Adam Fox, he's going to be a Ranger for a long, long time. This is the type of stuff that, this is the stuff. Remember when they got Matt Gilroy like way back in the day, and everybody's like, yo, Gilroy's going to be sick. Like, this is kind of what you thought Gilroy was going to be. Never was sick. But then they get Adam Fox, dude, and they got him from Carolina, which is awesome, that Mickey Mouse organization. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Adam Fox is the biggest Mickey Mouse out there. He complains and cries his way off of every team. And call him a Harvard smart kid. He's just got a lot of money because he comes from a rich family. So he's got a good agent from a young age. Somehow
New York, man.
Cries his way to the oldest barn in the NHL. Also, I don't know if you saw this. I mean, we're breaking some pretty sad news here, but Betty White has died at the age of 99.
No.
R.I.P. I just saw that when I flipped open the old phone here. So that's pop culture news. R.I.P. to Betty White.
The last time I was on your podcast, the Rangers fired everybody. It seems like every time I'm on your podcast, something serious happens.
I don't. Oh man, did they fire? Was that who'd they fire?
They fired Gordon and Davidson. You broke it live.
Yeah, I do.
Go on Twitter, and then I cried myself to sleep.
Well, what a World Hockey Report appearance for you. Hey, speaking of the East Coast right now, the Oilers, they play the Islanders tomorrow, or at least they're scheduled to. What's gone wrong on the island? Like, they're an absolute trash pit right now.
Yeah, I think obviously starting off on that road trip wasn't good. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people got COVID, stuff like that. I wouldn't give up on the Islanders. I know a lot of people have, but they have, I think, the best coach in the NHL. They have.
Are you sure? Are you sure they're not? Are you sure Trotz and Lou aren't the problem anymore?
No, I really don't think so. I think that they've had a ton of issues, and I hate excuses, right? But at the same time, if they kind of
you're a Rangers fan. That's all Rangers fans have is excuses.
I don't know about that, man. We finally got a coach in there that has a clue of what's going on. But I don't know. I don't give up on the Islanders quite yet. I know that they're like kind of way out of it right now, but this is a team, and every team that goes into Long Island, it's always going to kind of be a long game. And once they start clicking and they can kind of figure their stuff out again, I wouldn't put it past them. And they got their captain back this year. I tell you what, losing him last year before the playoffs, that was huge. Because if they have Anders Lee, who knows what happens?
They still lose out to Tampa in the Eastern Conference Final. That's what happens. That's what my small brain tells me, and I'm going to stick with it. Morning Skate Ked, my host here, co-host, I guess, for right now in this hour. But we got 2 more minutes to talk with him. I got to ask you about the Oilers, and I know it's not a team that you're watching every night, but they've been very disappointing of late. Obviously, you've got McDavid and Draisaitl. I don't know, if they don't go on another playoff run this year, what do you do? Like, it's not like, oh, you can just flip and get a starting goaltender. You know, you can get forward depth overnight. Like, are they in serious trouble?
You do whatever you can to get a starting goalie, because the Edmonton Oilers, when's the last time they've had an elite starting goaltender? Seriously.
I mean, Cam Talbot, 2017.
But see, I wouldn't even consider that elite.
Well,
Like,
no,
I'm talking
he was a starting goaltender. He took them. They were 1 goal away, or like 1 game away from going to the Western Conference Final.
I get that, but I've never thought of the Oilers and been like, oh, they got great goaltending. It's never been like that, and they keep going back to the Mike Smithwell, and they keep adding all these other people. It's like, okay, you have the best piece in the NHL in Connor McDavid, probably the second best piece in the NHL with Draisaitl. They don't have bad defense. Darnell Nurse is an incredible player. Like, they definitely have some good bodies there. I honestly don't know. What did you think about Tortorella saying that McDavid should change his game for the playoffs?
I think someone scripted that out for Tortorella. That's my opinion. Is someone's like, oh, we're gonna make him the villain and he's gonna take all the heat for it. Like, you think Torts gives 2 shits what people say about him online? He doesn't care at all. He's just like, sure, whatever. I'm getting a nice TV paycheck. Okay, I'll say it.
Yeah. Tortorella, he doesn't text message. He just writes letters.
Yeah, that's my opinion of it. Like, you're going to tell me Torts is like, oh, that's why he's easy to shut down. Like, the Oilers of when Torts was coaching Columbus, the Oilers just torched him. I think they had like a plus 26 goal differential in those seasons that Torts was there. Like, McDavid just roasted him every time. So to say that, oh, he's an easy to start, there's no way he actually thinks that.
No. And I wouldn't be overly concerned if I'm an Oilers fan. It's kind of the same song, different dance every year, but at the same time, at least you get to watch Connor McDavid play hockey every night, so that's pretty cool.
Okay, I got one more for you. It's because you're down in Nashville. I know you're going to be on the move here soon, but are Pred schemes a little bit overrated, or are they as, electric as everyone wants to make them seem?
Yo, I'll tell you this. When I went to the Rangers, I've been to a few Predators games this year, and I kind of thought that they were kind of a nobody kind of team. Like, I'm not a huge Johansson guy. I think Forsberg's pretty good. But, like, they lost Ryan Ellis. Pekka Rinne wasn't coming back, whatever. Tell you what, dude, they are an annoying team to play against. They truly are.
Well, no, I mean the fans.
Oh, yeah. The fans are pretty funny.
Like, no one cares about Nashville, the team. They're not a threat to anyone.
Yeah, no, I was at that game. You remember that fight that went all over Instagram and everything? I was at that game. Didn't see it. Wish I did. But, yeah, I mean, they're just happy people. That's all it is. I don't know if they know a ton about hockey, but what the Preds are doing with the community, and, like, they have all these different youth hockey leagues. Like, they've done a lot of really good stuff in that community to kind of build the game of hockey. And I was talking to some people back when the Preds made that cup run. Like, they weren't a Titan city. Like, everybody has Pred stuff, and still you walk around and you see Pred stuff not even on game day. So they definitely do love their team. And I think they're just kind of learning the ropes still of the whole NHL thing, but I like them.
Jeez, you're sounding soft. You might be a Preds fan now. I might have to tell Rangers Nation.
They're my West Coast team. Yeah.
Your West Coast team?
West Coast on the East Coast. You know how it is.
Oh, my goodness. Alrighty, Jimmy. This has been awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time. We'll make sure to chuck you, some love on Twitter, so make sure everyone goes and follows you in the morning skate. You guys got a great pod there and everything. But, Bud, enjoy the Rangers here. Let's hope they lose out in the first round so Lafreniere can, take a little bit more heat. And we'll talk to you in the new year.
Adam Fox for the Con Smarts. I'll talk to you guys.
Have a good one, buddy.
See ya.
Right there. Morning skate cat, Jimmy Collins, hopping on World Hockey Report. Always a good conversation. Great guy, great podcast. So you go check him out at Morning Skate Ked. We're going to head off to a commercial break. When we come back, it's the janitor, Jeff Beck. We haven't heard from him in a while. 12-ounce Sports' finest. Jeff is on the way. Quick timeout.
Follow Team Canada with Sports Travel Tours in their bid to win back-to-back World Championships. Canada will play all their games in beautiful Helsinki, Finland, and will face Switzerland, Germany, and Russia. Sports Travel Tour packages includes a fantastic hotel, all transfers, amazing game tickets, a tour host, as well as a pre-game party. Check out the official World Championship packages at sportstraveltours.com.
Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any NFL team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets if they score. You can score with promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What we do here is go back.
Huge thanks to Adam and Ked so far for making the show what it is. My guest, it's Cody Jansen here, and World Hockey Report is presented by Lordco Auto Parts. Find a store near you at lordco.com. They got two in Edmonton, and if you're in the area, please go check them out. Lordco is the absolute best. I'm telling you, it's going to change the way you shop for automotive parts. They are the most helpful staff you will ever meet. All right, let's snap it over now to the janitor, the boss of 12-ounce Sports, the man who got it all started. It's Jeff Beck joining us on the line. And I know he's a Pens fan, so we're not going to harass him too much about them. But I do want to get your thoughts on the World Juniors, because I know you were getting into that a little bit. And IIHF, they dropped the ball. I feel they let the kids down. But from your perspective, as someone who hasn't followed the tournament for a long, long time, what goes through your mind when you read and see about how big of a failure this tournament was this year?
Well, I'll get to that, but I got to warn your audience first, because your first two guests were way cooler than me. Adam's having a skate with the family, playing some hockey. Ked is traveling the country. He's in New York. I just got off the couch after a half-hour nap, so bear with me here. Hey, I'm kind of shocked here. The IIHF handled racism so well. I thought they'd have a full grasp on COVID, but I guess somebody dropped the ball over there.
It's one thing after another with them, Jeff. That's like, could you imagine if someone blatantly made, and it's been two real egregious racial gestures, and we've talked about it on previous shows. Could you imagine if someone did that in the NBA or the NFL, or take it a step down in college basketball or the XFL, college football, because obviously it's a step below the top league, and it wasn't handled, or they were given a 10-game suspension and a $3,000 fine? Like, how embarrassing is that for hockey? Oh my goodness.
Even before cancel culture, which I'm not a fan of, but even before here in the States, they probably would never play again. No team would want that evil on their team and get the bad press. It's just unbelievable. It reminds me of FIFA in the 90s and early 2000s that were just overtly corrupt, whereas the IIHF is overtly inept. It's like, do they not know what's going on in the world? And they're having the tournament in a country that's been pretty strict with COVID, and they really didn't have much of a contingency plan. And I guess I hear that there was a wedding reception in one of the hotels, so there were just people everywhere in contact with each other. I would have thought the biggest tournament of the year, why wouldn't you put these people in a bubble? Why wouldn't they have their own hotel? Something other than, and then the other problem I have is you have young, healthy people, and this might trigger some of your audience, but you have young, healthy people that, for the most part, are going to recover rather quickly from it. But I'm to understand, you can correct me, but weren't the 4 players not showing any symptoms? They just had to have daily tests, and 4 of the tests came back, said you had it, but they didn't have any symptoms, right?
No, you're correct there. There was 5 more positive tests the day that they canceled it. But again, it sounds like all of them were asymptomatic, which, you know, the issue up here is that they're still playing junior hockey. Like, the exact same age groups are still playing. Like, these guys can go and play tomorrow because they're not testing asymptomatic players at the junior level. You know, they don't have money for it. It's a different budget. So at the World Juniors, you get tested every day. And so you are catching these asymptomatic cases, which, you know, say what you want. COVID's obviously dangerous. We all know that. People die from it. But if these players are healthy, if they're asymptomatic, if they're going to keep living their lives, you know, are we testing them just to shoot ourselves in the foot? And from a double IHF perspective, this is the biggest money turner for them that funds all their other tournaments throughout the season. So why even run that risk in something, you know, this fluid like COVID, and they knew about it, and I mean, they just let the kids down, Jeff.
Well, and I know everybody wants to take a hard line, left or right, one side of the fence or the other. I won't get too in depth with that perspective, but I just want to say I'm old enough to remember that if you didn't feel sick, nobody considered you sick. But now here we are, you don't even have to feel sick anymore. And there's probably, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel anytime soon, which sucks. It sucks for people like us, too, as you know, because we had a lot of lower-level leagues that we were broadcasting that just simply shut down. They don't have protocols. They don't have cancellations. They don't have postponements. They just shut down completely. So I don't know. I've been telling everybody I have COVID fatigue. I'm just worn out.
Oh, I think we all do, Jeff, and especially, you know, seeing college football setting, you know, record attendances while the World Juniors, you know, they're putting 1,000 people in a 20,000 seat stadium. They're masked. They can't eat or drink. All of it. It was just you know, a little sad in general for the hockey world, but end of the day, we survived. We're going to move on. I want to ask, though, and you are a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I know that, being from the great state of Ohio. Do you think that Crosby and Malkin have one more run in them? Do you think that they can end up winning a cup? I know Jari's been playing good. I know Glenn would say fire everyone. But again, I think that there's still a little bit of talent there. No? Do you have faith that they can maybe go for one more run, or are they done?
Oh, our resident Steinbrenner and Glenn Kaplan. Yeah, he probably wants to fire the whole organization. I think anytime you have players of that caliber, if they got the right pieces around them, they always have another run in them. You know, time is not our friend, though, so they're kind of running out of time. And I know Glenn, on the private text, is always complaining about their defense and their third and fourth lines. But I think when you have people like Crosby and Malkin, anything can happen. Sometimes it starts in the front office. It doesn't always start on the ice. So it just depends on what kind of moves they're willing to make. Which sucks. Another thing about COVID is I haven't been to the arena, and it's going on 2 years now, and I miss going to that arena. So I'm going to have to do that again. But I would never doubt Malkin and Crosby, personally. You might have a different perspective, but
I think that's a great breakdown. Now, Jeff, I mean, I don't mean to offend, but I would say you're a middling hockey fan, correct? You know, you're not all in, but you're certainly far from all out. And that's where I want to ask you the question about NHLers not going to the Olympics.
That's a fair assessment of what you just said about me, because and I'll tell you the distinct moment I became a hockey fan is when LeBron left Cleveland again for LA. Well, I already had problems with the NBA to begin with. Just some of the lax rules, and they don't play very hard the whole season. But I also had a connection to the Penguins, a company I use in my profession. I think they're part owners, and they offered to take me to a game, and I fell in love with hockey right away. But I joke around, and it's kind of serious. My issue with hockey is I'm having a hard time learning the names. You know, in American sports, Tom Brady, the names just roll off the tongue. And in hockey, I'm like, okay, that guy's Russian or Ukrainian. I can't pronounce that last name. That's the only problem I have. But you could call me a casual fan.
Well, I would say you're a little bit more than a casual fan is someone I consider who just watches the Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay. No, I'm more than a casual fan.
I would say so, because like there's not much less than a casual fan. But back to the point, I want to ask you about the Olympics. Without NHLers going to it, does that kind of sway your decision whether you'd actually watch it or not? Like just to consider this, I know you're an early bird too, but like you're gonna have to get up at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to watch some of these games potentially. Does this kind of influence your decision on like, I really don't care about the Olympic hockey now if NHLers aren't there?
Well, the Dogs will take care of the 5 a.m. and then, I'm tired of watching the news, so I might turn on hockey. The issue I have is yes, I'd probably be less inclined to watch it if some of the top skaters in the world aren't playing. B, I have some social problems with where it's
100%.
being held and nobody standing up to them. But I'm not sure that whether I watch it or not is going to affect them. And I do love sports. I might tune in just to see what the quality's like. Again, 5 a.m., the Dogs got me up. It's better than watching the news. So I might tune in, but I'm not going to be glued to it like I may have been had all the top skaters been playing.
Okay, Jeff, if you could pick one Winter Olympic sport that you think you've got the best chance to win a gold medal in, what would that be?
For me?
Yeah, for you.
First,
you got to suit up this winter in the Winter Olympics. You got a chance to win a gold medal. What's your best chance?
In my peak physical condition?
No,
like
right
when I
now,
was a
like
college
today.
Football player or now?
Like today. Like you're doing
it's
this
gotta be
tomorrow. You're
curling.
competing
They
for a
smoke and
gold
drink
medal.
playing curling.
Curling's fine. That's a good answer, actually. I didn't think about that. I don't mind
They
that.
They drink too. That's like the ice version of bowling.
Yeah, I've never actually heard it called ice version of bowling. Curling's huge up here. That's it. Like I don't even know how the American teams do it. The Olympics and curling. Like when I think of curling, like Canada obviously kicks ass, and you got like Norway, Sweden, those Scandinavian countries that are cold. They're usually pretty good. That's an interesting one. I don't mind that answer there, Jeff. Jeff Beck, my guest here. He's the janitor over at 12 Ounce Sports. Go check him out at 12 Ounce Sports on Twitter. Let's talk college football. We got 5 minutes left here. We've beat a dead horse. The World Juniors is an absolute embarrassment. It really sucks for hockey, and it sucks for the players who don't get to live out their lifelong dream. But one of the big things that we're both going to be watching today, I know damn well you are, it's college football. And we've got the semifinals. I don't want to talk about the college football playoffs and how stupid it is that it's only 4 teams. But we got Cincinnati and Alabama. It's a pretty cool story that Cincinnati's even in the tournament right now, or playoff. Do you think they got a chance against Alabama? Like, they're 13.5-point underdogs. Do they really have a chance to pull off an upset?
Well, I hope, as an Ohio guy. Now, I got the burgers out there thawing. I'm getting ready for this. I'm hoping it's a good game. I said on AM Drive, I'll say it here, I think Cincinnati's best chance is a really slow offense, but they can get first downs. I find that game being depressing to think about, because I think in the second half is where Alabama's going to win it. I think adrenaline might carry Cincinnati a little while, but I think they're going to get wore out. They do not have the line, the interior size and strength that Alabama has, and you can only hold that off so long. Being a Big Ten guy, I've seen it my whole life. Ohio State usually has the bigger, stronger offensive line, defensive line, and people hang with us in the first half. The second half, we just wear them out, and I think that's what's going to happen to Cincinnati here. I think that's a proper line because, well, no matter how close it is in the first half, Bama, man, they just keep coming at you and coming at you and coming at you, and they're so big and they're so deep. That's being a former Division III football player, I'll tell you, the difference between Division III and 2, 2 and 1, and then the Bamas and the Cincinnatis, it's not really skill. I played at Mount Union, Division III, with a couple guys that made it to the NFL. The real difference is depth. So as Cincinnati's wearing down throughout the game, Bama's shuffling in 4 new defensive linemen, and they're fresh. So it's like they're just starting the game versus a team that's exhausted. So that's what's going to happen to Cincinnati, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. As an Ohio guy, I hope I'm wrong. I like Luke Fickell, but I just don't see that one being close at the end.
Have none of these teams, like none of these 4, really had any major COVID issues? Is that correct?
That's what they say. I mean, Michigan mysteriously
that's what
had
they
one
say.
last
That's
year.
a good point.
Do you really think any of these teams are going to admit they even had a sniffle? They don't want to forfeit these games.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, the later one too. It's Georgia and Michigan, and I know you're a huge Wolverines fan, so I'm sure you're rooting for them today. I don't even know what I think. Georgia's -6.5 or something on the spread. Like, I don't know. Michigan's number 2. I don't see why they're really ahead of Georgia. Like when Georgia was number 1 pretty much all year until they lose to Alabama. Like we're going to see an SEC final. Am I wrong?
Well, just for the sake of fluent speaking, I'm going to say their real name, but if my friends heard me on this show, they might get mad that I'm not saying Michigan instead of Michigan. But
Michigan.
I think Michigan's not getting enough credit here. The issue I see for Michigan is they are a run-first team, and that's Georgia's strength is the run defense. I mean, Alabama threw all over Georgia. I guess the difference is if Michigan can come out and actually establish a passing game, they have the defense to slow Georgia down. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game, to be honest with you. I'm seeing something like 24-21, and when you get in a 3-point ball game, it's anybody's game. I would not be surprised if Michigan won this game. If I had to place money on it, I would probably take Michigan in the points. If I had to go money line, I might take Georgia. I mean, they're slightly better on paper. Michigan gives up, a touchdown more a game than Georgia does. And Georgia was only giving up 6.5 points a game until Alabama hung 40-plus on them.
How much does weather play a part here? If this is played in Michigan in winter, do you think Michigan becomes the favorites just based on their style of play and how the weather would affect the game?
There's an old saying, adverse weather only affects the teams that aren't used to playing in it. So if they were in a snow game right now, Michigan would have the advantage. Perfect conditions, it's even. Both teams are playing under perfect conditions, and both teams are used to playing under perfect conditions. So I don't think it's going to be much of an advantage for anyone. I mean, Michigan's played in nice weather and in domes, and so is Georgia. Now, if it was snowing, I think the line might change. It might be -6.5 for Michigan, but
if it's snowing in Miami, we got other problems, Jeff. I'm afraid to tell you that.
Yeah, well, that could happen. You never know. But I see this is going to come down to, can Michigan establish the run? Can they open up the passing game, and can their defense slow Georgia down? They have a great defense that we've seen so far, but have they faced an offense like Georgia yet? We don't know. People thought Ohio State was that offense, but it was snowing, so you could make an excuse. So that'll be the interesting game. I think that's going to be a close game.
Beck, we're going to have to leave it there. Actually, give me who's the national champ, quickly.
Bama.
I think that's a pretty easy one. Jeff, have a great New Year's Eve. We appreciate you taking the time. All you do for 12-ounce sports. You're the best, buddy. Take care. Enjoy the football, and we'll talk soon.
Happy New Year, brother.
Jeff Beck right there, the janitor at 12-ounce sports, the owner, the one who got World Hockey Report started. Alrighty, that's going to wrap up our show here. For myself, Cody Jansen, Adam Bermantrout at World Hockey Report, Eric Krause, our social media manager, Bryce Buns, the producer. Everyone's just done something to put this show on for 2021. It's been an awesome year. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know it's it's a blast. Anytime I get to come here and talk hockey, it really is some of the best times of my week, and I appreciate everyone who chimes in, helps make it special. The guests we've had on, all the conversation. It does make it. Hockey's awesome. That's where we'll leave that one at. And everyone, enjoy your New Year's Eve. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Don't do anything stupid. Wear a mask. Be smart. COVID, we're going to get past it one way or another. I know it feels like it's been a drag, but we're going to make it through it. 2022 is going to be an awesome year. And everyone, peace and love. It's Cody Jansen. We'll talk to you in the new year. Everyone, as always, be kind, be better.